ball, pass the rule, who's winging, right?
Another day at the Huddersfield Town Academy. Yet even as the club was rescued from administration by Ken Davey in the summer of 2003, there was a very real possibility that the academy might be the first victim of the desperate financial situation.
There was always a period of time where people had the idea that running a youth policy was expensive, and they felt that they'd be better off players released by the top clubs in the Premier Division, like your Arsenal, your Liverpool, your Everton, your Manchester United, that they could go down that road and bring players in at the death.
If you listen to previous people and if you talk to Gerry Murphy, he'll tell you that previous directors are actually looking at closing it down, and people were telling us, Ken and I, that it wasn't working.
I had a lot of sleepless nights, I had a lot of worry, and it wasn't for me. I've got to say that. I've got a fantastic staff here. I was worried for them.
The defining moment for me was when I stood with Gerry up at a friendly in Guiseley in July 2003, and I remember Gerry pointing out, the first lad he pointed out was a young lad called Worthington in the middle of midfield, who of course now is our club captain, and then he went through the whole of the team, Murphy, Holsworth, etc, 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 8 or 10 of them, and they're all now in the first team. So I quickly said to Ken, we've got, not only is it good, we've got to embrace this and get Gerry secured on a contract, increase the budget and try and take this to another level.
I knew what talent, the staff knew what talent we had here, and I'm saying, please, give us time. So that was my worry, but when Andrew says we were continuing, whew, what a wait, what a great moment.
Maintaining the academy was also a case of needs must. New manager Peter Jackson could only call on a handful of contracted players.
We inherited about 8 players, and so we needed a squad, and it was just good to see quickly that there was actually talent in there, and we could quickly recognise that we could bolster our squad numbers by that. But all of those boys as well had such passion for wearing the Town shirt, so you knew when they entered the field in the first team they were going to give their all, so it was actually going to add some real value to the first team squad.
The policy quickly paid dividends. No less than 12 homegrown products played in the first team as Town reached the 3rd Division playoffs. 9 of them were in the promotion-winning squad at Cardiff's Millennium Stadium in May 2004.
The supporters relate to that because we're not a team that's from all over the country. I think most of them live within 20 miles of the stadium, and the supporters really relate to that it's really homegrown talent that have coming through, and I bet there's not many clubs in the Football League or the Premiership who've got as many good young players as what I've got playing in my first team, and they're all local players.
These boys have grown together. John Worthington, you look at him, Nathan Clark, John Stead, David Murphy, Holsworth, Lloydie, McComb, John McAleskey, even Adnan Ahmed. They all mixed, they were all good friends. So it has helped that, I'm sure of that.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we all know each other really well. We know how we play with each other, and we're a great set of lads. So we'll just stick together and we have a really good laugh.
We've all been, inbred with the winning sort of attitude. We had a very good youth team. We did very well in the youth cups, all way through the stages. So the winning mentality in the lads, has definitely shown.
And it just shows how important it is for a club, especially like ours. And it's just good, especially for young lads who are in the academy now and can look up to us, and they know it can happen, and we're given the chance.
I mean, even just coming as a professional before you even get in the first team, I mean, that's daunting in itself, but with so many young lads being there, I mean, you just feel so much at home, if you like, kind of thing. And especially once you get in the team, it's really comforting, to see like Nathan Clark and Worthy, who are young lads, but they're experienced players as well now. So it makes it a lot easier for you, definitely.
there's a lot of lads now that have grown up together, and there's good camaraderie. But even not just with the young lads, the experienced pros that are at the club obviously are a massive help, a massive lift to the young boys, because they are, you know, solid pros who've done well in the game. So the mixture's excellent, and you know, with the young lads as well, it's been good.
I think the boys have got to get on together. We try and breed that into them here. The discipline here is got to be at a very high level, because ability only gets you noticed. It's discipline, commitment, desire. Very important. And I think we drum this into the lads. If they want to go and have a future in the game, they've got to realise they've got to make sacrifices.
Come on now. Well done. Excellent.
The academy isn't just about playing football.
Well done. Slide it down.
The youngsters go through the first stages of obtaining coaching qualifications as well. And academic studies aren't neglected either. Attendance at college is compulsory.
Just going to have a recap on where we are at the moment. As you know, this is the part of the season where we've got to daily explain to you what's happening, because every day is different.
I think the education is very important. Not everybody makes it as a player.
Monday morning, you're at college.
It gives them some qualifications to the boys that don't go on, are unfortunate not to make it. I think one of the main aims for us is to send them out of here as better all-round people to face the big world if they don't make it as a player.
They're brought up so well. They haven't been a minute's trouble for Peter. Every one of them. They're just different class. They work hard at the game, and they've got a passion for it. They've been here since they were sort of 6 or 7 or 8 year old, some of these boys.
Well, I always tell the boys, it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. And they've got to respect everybody. They've got to realise that they're representing the club, they're representing the family. They're in the public eye if they're lucky enough to go to the next level and play in our first team. So whereas they don't know the people know them. And if they start doing things that's not conducive to representing this club, they'll have a very short career.
You off, Jimmy? Yes, that's it.
It's a massive investment by the club, but you know, we're getting rewards from it for all the hard years that Gerry Murphy, John Dunworth and Chris Howarth have put in, and a lot of other people I can't even name, because there's a lot of part-time staff down there, but they all work extremely hard. And you know, we might not have the best facilities, the best training fields for the academy. Compare that with Liverpool, Man United, but I judge that of how many first team, how many players have come through to play in the first teams, and we've got the most in the country.
6 of them, plus Huddersfield born and bred Andy Booth, were in the squad for the opening fixture at Stockport's Edgeley Park.
At the start of the season, I think I said that we could be one of 15 teams that could go up or make the playoffs. And I firmly believe that if we got off to a good start, we certainly could do it.
Did you think after last season that you had a realistic chance of actually making the playoffs?
The start of the season, I mean, that's got to be your outcome at the end. You've got to set your targets to finish as high as you can. And with the squad we've got from last season, a couple of additions, you know, there was no reason why we couldn't.
Obviously it's a step up, but we didn't feel there was a massive difference between the leagues. But obviously at the beginning of the season we knew that we needed to get a bit of consistency to mount a challenge.
It was nice to see the fans again after what happened in Cardiff and the first game down at Stockport, and it was a great start for us.
Typically glorious weather on the opening day of the season, but a minute before half-time, and it will be Tony Carrs with the free kick for Huddersfield, and scores the first goal of the new season, struck by one of the most effective players, Tony Carrs, and he couldn't have hit it better. joy in the sunshine of Edgeley Park for those Huddersfield fans, and Huddersfield off the mark with the lead. Just a minute before half-time, and the deadlock is broken.
No belief for Gerry down that right-hand side, and the cross coming in here, and the header is from Luke Beckett, and Stockport are level. And the former Chesterfield striker gets Stockport's first goal of their season. Good work out on that right-hand side, and Gerry again involved, and it's a lead here now for Stockport County, and it's the former Leeds player Warren Feeney. Stockport 2, Huddersfield 1. Murphin, and he's sling this one up round about the penalty area, headed straight up in the air. Might give Murphin a second opportunity to cross the ball in. In fact, he strokes it forward, and this is Brandon now. He'll get to the ball before the dead ball line. There's an equaliser here, and it's Andy Booth, and that is so typical of the man. Huddersfield's favourite son coming up with an equalising goal right in front of those joyful supporters. Boothie, where have we heard that before? It was Brandon's turn here that seemed to confuse the defender, and an ideal cross from the man making his debut, Chris Brandon, and Andy Booth with the head. What else? Huddersfield level. He's always enjoyed scoring. Well, it's been a good comeback by Town to get it to 2-2. Pawel Abbott involved, as is Cars. Booth taking it on. It's Abbott. It's Pawel Abbott. He's won it for Huddersfield. In the very last minute, they have turned this one around. They were facing defeat 3 minutes ago. Booth's equaliser. Abbott's first of the season. There's a fan on the pitch, but it's Huddersfield who are going to take the points away from Edgeley Park. Well, it's a stunning finish, and they've deserved their late victory.
Boothie got the equaliser, and I think we were just happy with the draw on the day. But Boothie set me up for the winner. It was a great ball, through ball, and just put me one-on-one with the keeper, and just sorted it past him.
We got off to a tremendous start, and it was a difficult place to go. Hot sunny day, first game of the season, and we came away with 3 valuable points.
The following Tuesday, an expectant crowd of almost 12,000 turned up at the newly named Galfarm Stadium for the first home match of the new season. It was to be a frustrating evening. In fact, it was Chesterfield who had the best of the early chances. After Caleb Folan wasted one opportunity, only a last-ditch block by Andy Holsworth prevented the visitors from taking the lead. In the first half, Town had few sights of goal. Danny Schofield's snap shot the closest they came. In the second half, Chesterfield thought they'd scored. But their celebrations were stifled by the linesman's flag. And in the end, it was Town who almost snatched all 3 points. Spyrites keeper Carl Muggleton producing a brilliant double save to deny Pawel Abbott and Rob Edwards. Final score, 0-0. Hartlepool were the next visitors to the Gal Farm for a game live on Sky Sports.
Taken in his stride by Boyd. It's Murphy now. He didn't get the tackle in, and here is a chance for Betsy, and Kevin Betsy scores for Hartlepool. There's been nothing in the game really until now, but the former Barnsley man, Kevin Betsy, strikes for Hartlepool. And David Murphy initially and Nathan Clark might have done better here. Boyd with the ball back. It's a clever turn from Betsy and a cool finish as well. And Hartlepool lead at the Gal Farm by a 0-0. Quickly taken, that free kick. Huddersfield caught just a little bit unawares, I fancy there. And Boyd and a second from Tinkler. 2 in the space of 2 minutes. And Hartlepool have stunned Huddersfield here. What a purple patch for the men from the northeast. It was cut back in, and that's a simple finish for Mark Tinkler. Neil Cooper centres an away win, and he's the first to congratulate Tinkler. Abbott galloping away. Huddersfield need to create more than they have done so far in this game. Hartlepool good value for their lead. This will be slung across by Holdsworth. Where's it going to drop in there? To Brandon. Oh, a disappointing finish. It's the most clear-cut opportunity that Huddersfield have carved out, and Chris Brandon ballooned the shot way over the top of the Hartlepool crossbar.
Probably the game shouldn't have been played. If it hadn't been live on Sky, I don't think that game would have been played. But remember, John, we were playing against a side that had been in the playoffs the previous season, so we were playing a good side and probably a big test for us. But that was only the 4th defeat since Christmas.
On August the 21st, Town travelled to Sheffield Wednesday.
The best opportunity that we had was obviously Mendes. First minute of the game, ball hit the post, rolled along the line, hit the other post and landed in the keeper's arms. If that had gone in, we'd have won that game, no doubt about that, because there was a lot of pressure on Sheffield Wednesday at that time. And they broke away and scored, and we got beat 1-0, but shouldn't have got beaten that game.
But the fans were already looking forward to a first-round Coca-Cola clash with the old enemy Leeds United at Elland Road.
This could be the biggest ever crowd in the first round of the League Cup, and it's the first time Leeds have appeared in the first round since 1961. Strangely, that year they beat Huddersfield 3-2 in the second round. Well, there were 5,500 tickets sold to Huddersfield Town fans, and it's their first time here for 24 years. Huddersfield certainly winning on corners right now. The delivery is from Cars. Sullivan stays on the line. Boo's up for it. Fine save. Absolutely tremendous save. The header was from Nathan Clark after the initial one from Booth. Up goes Booth there. Clark there. Sullivan's fingertips to the rescue for Leeds. Huddersfield so close to the opening goal. Butler up to Ricketts, header from Ricketts off the underside of the bar, chance for it to be scrambled, and it's got to be a goal. It is a goal, and Danny Pugh has punched it for Leeds. Much of the credit went to Ricketts for the header. Gray couldn't keep it out. Leeds lead. Danny Pugh with his second goal for the club. So pass from Brandon that's found Cars. We'll whip it in. Abbott! Oh, it was off the bar. Pawel Abbott there, an instinctive header from the Cars cross. Well, it was a lovely flowing Huddersfield move, and the last couple of minutes have been mightily impressive for the Terriers. Here's the Abbott header, and it's up and over Sullivan and off the bar.
To go there and give a good account of ourselves, we certainly did that. They didn't let me or the club down, and we could have got a result that night. We took well over 5,500 fans, and I think at the end, I think even the Leeds supporters were saying we deserve to go through.
You had 2 or 3 very good shots for penalties for handball.
I looked at it again and again, and on a day a referee might give 2 out of 3, the referee definitely give 1 out of 3, but to get none out of 3, quite strange.
The following Saturday, Town were back in league action at home to Peterborough. Young John McAliskey, such a success at the end of the previous season, opened the scoring with his first goal of the new campaign. Peterborough were level on the stroke of half-time, although only referee Tony Leake knew why he awarded a penalty, converted by the man whose goals had sent Town down from the old First Division in 2001, Curtis Woodhouse. But immediately after the break, slick passing set up John Worthington for what proved to be the winner. Town 2, Peterborough 1, a result that should have set them up nicely for a third Yorkshire derby in 10 days at Doncaster Rovers, Bellevue.
Forward for Blundell. Greg Blundell with a little reverse ball. Green to take it on for Doncaster. Blundell's there as the recipient again. It's bobbling all around in that penalty area. This is Fortune West, and it's in. It's trickled in for Leo Fortune West, and Gray will be disappointed he didn't keep that out. Doncaster lead just before the half hour. A long clearance from Foster, and Blundell has got goal side here. Blundell could make it 2. Fortune West was waiting, and Green, was there a handball there? No, there wasn't, but it's into the net anyway from Green. Messy goal from Huddersfield's point of view. Oh, it's a delightful ball through, and Worthington will try and turn the marker here. It is John Worthington. He's got all the way and confused Warrington with the shot, and they've got a goal back here.
Really, it could have been 5 or 6-1. We didn't play well. In fact, if Doncaster had taken the chances, they'd have beat us 5 or 6. There's 1 or 2 games I can say we deserved nothing from it. That was one of the games.
So at the end of August, Town were down in 17th place in Coca-Cola League 2. Not the start Jacko wanted, 11 points behind runaway leaders Luton Town, who boasted a 100% record. 4th placed Hull City were the next visitors to the Galfarm.
So no Peter Taylor on the touchline to inspire Hull today, away on England under 21 duty, and he sees Huddersfield leading the attack against his side here, and there's a chance straight away, and how well was that chance taken by Pawel Abbott? It's a magnificent strike, just 7 minutes played, and they're hugging one another, and with good reason. Holdsworth tucked it across. This is a delightful finish from Abbott. Huddersfield lead. Brandon, that's a high swirling ball. Up for it is Booth, it's Andy Booth off the crossbar. Unlucky, could well have been 2, and he looks to be hobbling a little. Well, it's been all Huddersfield in these opening exchanges, and if Peter Taylor had been here, he'd be mightily concerned. There's another Huddersfield attack here. It's only scrambled away by Dawson as far as Abbott, and Abbott looks up and checks and pulls it back in here. Well played there. It's Rob Edwards. Oh, that's a cracking goal from Edwards. He's still a skillful player, and this is as good a finish as you would get from a man who used to be a striker. He's once top scorer in a season at Crewe. The dummy was clever, the finish so incisive. Great skill and technique. Again, Huddersfield will be first to the ball, and it's swept across to Junior Mendes, far side. Mendes, one to take on, slips it through the middle for Brandon. That's a quite magnificent goal for Chris Brandon. Huddersfield's third and best for me.
I've known Brandon for numerous years when he was at Torquay and Chesterfield. Knew he was out of contract, knew other clubs was chasing him, and I thought it'd be the ideal person to bring in. And I think this season Chris has been excellent. I think he's been a tremendous signing, and he's proved a great asset to this club.
It was an easy decision really in the end. I think, I played for Torquay and Chesterfield, and I think it was the right decision to move on to Huddersfield. It's such a big club, great fan base, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's been a miserable day for Hull. Perhaps they can get some late reward here from this corner kick. A shout for handball, and the referee gives it that way as well. Penalty kick, Steve Yates. The appeal falls on deaf ears. So a chance for Danny Alsop then to get one for Hull. He can't even do that. The sprawling Ian Gray makes the save. Well, that sums up Hull's day. Schofield. The support down the right supplied by Worthington. The cross ball in is good and breasted down here by Andy Booth. And that's 4 for Huddersfield. Myhill can't keep it out.
Yeah, we played extremely well, as we did Hull City the previous season, the previous division. Remember, hot sunny day, I think it was a 12 o'clock kick-off. Absentee of Peter Taylor, the Hull manager, because he was the England duty. And we beat Hull 4, and as I say, we could have beat Hull 8 that day.
The improvement continued at Port Vale.
Brandon turns his man, and a good save there. It's that number 9, Pawel Abbott. Huddersfield tails are up. They can centre goal, and they're going forward. Abbott, they'll need to close him down. Brandon, the 1-2 with Abbott, and that's 1-0 to Huddersfield. And number 9 for Town has looked dangerous all match, and he's just got his rewards for all his efforts. A nice 1-2 with Chris Brandon, and Mark Goodlad couldn't do anything about that one. Huddersfield cleared the danger. Oh, a rare mistake by George Pilkington. Abbott here for his second. As Pawel Abbott aeroplanes away to the corner flag. He looks satisfied, and well he might be. Oh, Huddersfield. Well, Brandon again, lovely play. Edwards plays it, Brandon's carried on with the run. Still Brandon. And that's the hat-trick. Pawel Abbott with the hat-trick, 3-0 to Huddersfield.
That was my first hat-trick in professional football, and well, just hope it's one of many really. But yeah, I really enjoyed that.
He's worked hard, he's taken his chances, became a big crowd favourite here, but I still, Pav, can do better. I think he can score more goals.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if he sees me down or whatever, he'll pull me in the office and say, look, you know, you're doing really well, you know, but you know, you just got to keep doing well, working hard in training, and that's another good thing I think about the gaffer. He'll never let anyone drop off the standard. If he does see that, he'll call him into the office and say, look, you know what's going on, and I think I need that from time to time, just to say, you know, keep going, keep working hard. I've got that type of character that I'll always say what I feel, and we don't fall out or anything. At the end of the day, he's the gaffer, and you know, I have to do what the gaffer says, and I'll just say my side of the story, and then he'll say what he expects from me, and that's it.
Pav's had a great season. To get 20, 24, 25 goals in your first season, he's done absolutely tremendous, and there's no reason why he can't carry on and for the rest of his career and score goals, because where he plays it, he'll always score them.
Unfortunately, he didn't score in the next game at home to local rivals Barnsley. Barry Conlon opened the scoring for the visitors in the 10th minute. And after 21 minutes, Town were 2 down. It was an own goal from David Murphy, the first of 3 own goals in 3 successive league games. It just wasn't Town's day. After Danny Schofield had gone close, captain Effie Sodji was sent off for catching a Barnsley player with a swinging arm. It was the first of Effie's 3 red cards, a record which later was to cost him the captain's armband. Town 0, Barnsley 2. More frustration followed in the next game at Bristol City's Ashton Gate. After After Scott Murray had given City an early lead, Town rallied. A fine move ended up with Danny Schofield hitting the woodwork. But the Terriers weren't to be denied and took what appeared to be a stranglehold on the game with first-half goals from Schofield and Abbott. Both of them involved significant contributions from Nat Brown playing wide on the right. Three points seemed assured when on the hour mark, Town broke from inside their own half to make it 3-1. Schofield and Abbott combined, and the ball broke to give Chris Brandon a simple tap-in. And there were only 8 minutes left when referee Ian Williamson deemed Brown's innocuous challenge worthy of a penalty. It was duly converted by Leroy Lita, and worse was to follow. Deep into injury time, Luke Wiltshire's shot was deflected past Ian Gray by David Murphy. It finished 3 apiece. But 2 wins and a draw had lifted Town 7 places up the League One table, only 2 points off the playoffs. Luton were still blazing a trail at the top, and despite their defeat at Town, Hull were up a place to 3rd. A 3-0 victory against conference side Morecambe at the Gal Farm in the first round of the LDV Vans Trophy, marred only by a red card for Danny Schofield, was followed by this, another home game against Walsall. 2 goals in 2 minutes around the half-hour mark put Town in command. Abbott scored the first when a shot was parried into his path, and Junior Mendes, who'd scored his first goal for the club in the defeat of Morecambe, now registered his first league goal for the Terriers. Abbott scored a third, keeping his composure admirably to round the keeper. And the only consolation for Walsall was for the 3rd successive league game bizarrely provided by a Town player. Nathan Clark's bullet header beating a bemused Ian Gray. Next up, the long trip to Torquay and a windy Plain Moor.
Before Rakin Fenwa. His balance, managed to get up again. Clark eventually getting the clearance in. Now that might just fall for Junior Mendes, and Coxon was out of his goal. Well, a mix-up there, and Huddersfield have grabbed a goal out of the blue. That's 3 in 3 games now for Junior Mendes. Alex Russell then with the corner. Away by Nat Brown. Fowler finding Russell once more. He's got plenty of men in the middle to aim at. This is Kevin Hill. And Torquay right back in it. Now Bedo. Again looking for Kevin Hill coming in. Good header from Hill this time, and a good save from Ian Gray. A yard or so either side, and I don't think Gray would have got to that one. Phillips with a lovely little turn. It's twisting one way and the other. Giving Anthony Lloyd a bit of a torrid time. Phillips is still going. Got the shot in. Oh, good save from Gray, and it's been turned into the net by Kufor. Joe Kufor has got the final touch. And you have to say the goal was coming.
That disappointing 2-1 defeat at Torquay was hardly the best preparation for a challenging trip to the still unbeaten league leaders Luton.
Well, Luton haven't looked like the league leaders and unbeaten so far this season. Huddersfield haven't let them settle, and typical of that there, the little terrier himself, Worthington. Excellent play from him to break up that movement and to find Junior Mendes here. Railing down this left-hand side, it is still Mendes, oh, that is a cracking goal! It's one of the best of the season. Individual effort from Junior Mendes. Huddersfield in front. Cars with the corner, and a little flake, it's 2, and it's Mendes again. Well, what a day for the former Mansfield striker. 34 minutes gone, Luton 0, Huddersfield 2. Peter Jackson ecstatic. Nichols normally takes these, but it's going to be left here for Underwood, and a fine save as well from Ian Gray. Paul Underwood foiled. Nichols usually at the heart of most good things, and that was Howard involved, and now it's Underwood, and it's a little curler from him, and a delightful score from Paul Underwood, and Luton are back in it. Well, there's a header, and there is another fine stop from Gray. Luton throwing everything into an attempt to get an equalising goal here, but it's looking like Huddersfield's win. They lead and they win, and Peter Jackson celebrates joyfully.
I think after that game, I think we suddenly realised that if we play well, we can beat anybody. If we can go to Luton and beat Luton, who are unbeaten all season, top of the league and romping away with it, we have to seriously think that if we play well, we can beat anybody. And that's how I felt after that game personally.
3 days later, more than 10,000 fans turned up at the Gal Farm for the visit of second place Tranmere. Most of them went home disappointed. Tranmere took the lead through former Jamaican World Cup captain Theo Whitmore. And the only bright spot of the night for Town was provided by a magnificent equaliser from Pawel Abbott. In the second half, Tranmere took advantage of shoddy defending to take the points. Whitmore there and Chris Dagnall the scorers. Late on, Town rallied and Abbott went close after good work by Brandon on the byline, but it finished Town 1, Tranmere 3. 4 days later, Town had the chance to put things right with another home game against the struggling MK Dons. It was all over by half-time thanks to 3 goals in 12 minutes just before the break. Abbott scored the first, and Junior Mendes added a spectacular second.
A purple patch where he scored 5 in 6 games, then he went away to Montserrat and came back and struggled to get back into the side. So it's been a frustrating season really for Mendes.
It hasn't quite worked out, but you know the amount of appearances that I had, and the goals that I've scored, isn't too bad. So I'm quite happy in that respect.
Junior's a good player, and he'll always score your goals, and he's always a handful for defenders. So when you've got somebody like that in your squad, it's a great relief for you. I've still got big hopes from next season. Mendes has not shown me what I can do yet, except in the 5 games we score his goals. But I know if Mendes gets his chance next season, hopefully he'll take it.
On the stroke of half-time, Town were awarded a penalty for handball. It was comfortably converted by Abbott. The visitors did pull one back with a penalty of their own in the second half, but it finished Town 3, MK Dons 1. Next stop on October the 30th, Blackpool's Bloomfield Road.
Colin Hendry's had a tough baptism as Blackpool manager, and Tony Carr's here with the corner for Huddersfield, and Booth has found the space that he needs. All the space required for Andy Booth. He powered in the header, but who was supposed to pick him up? Classic Andy Booth. Blackpool 0, Huddersfield 1. Abbott. Little flick on, Brandon, he'll hustle here, and Chris Brandon, that's his game. He's skillful as well, good footwork from him. Then it's knocked back in here, the first shot comes in from Abbott, then from Booth. Oh, and tipped around the post by the Blackpool goalkeeper Lee Jones, and neither Abbott nor Booth could finish. Murphy, Blackpool level, it's the big man John Murphy who's up for this one.
3 wins and that 1-1 draw at Blackpool lifted Town up to 8th at the end of October, now 3 points shy of the playoffs. 3 days after their league visit to Blackpool, the Terriers were there again in the second round of the LDV Vans Trophy. A 6-3 defeat after extra time included another red card for Effie Sodji.
Well, obviously Sodji was my captain, and I had certain problems with Sodji on the field. That I think in 36 games, he missed 10 of them. So obviously I had a lot of disciplinary problems, Sodji, and I was looking for a new captain, and it was a choice between Worthington or Nathan Clark, and I went for Worth. The reasons behind that is obviously he's one of my first names on the team sheet, and he leads by example on the field, and he's taken the captaincy really well.
It's funny saying a father figure at my age, but I try and help the young lads as best I can from what I've learnt so far, and especially in a way, because I am young, I know what things are expected when you're a young lad, and where you should be heading.
It's funny when he's giving me some experience, telling me what to do on the field, but yeah, Worves is a great captain, and it was definitely the right choice. He could be the captain of Huddersfield Town for 5-10 years to come.
Because of World Cup qualifiers, the next home game against Brentford was played on a Sunday. Pawel Abbott almost illuminated it with what would have been one of the goals of the season. By now, number 1 keeper Ian Gray had sadly been forced to retire with the hand injury that had kept him out for a good part of the previous season. Jacko brought Paul Rahubka, one of the heroes of Cardiff, back to the Gal Farm on loan from Charlton. He soon showed just why the Town fans had taken him to their hearts. But he was to be beaten from close range by a goal from Effie Sodji's brother Sam. "20 minutes from time, Town got the goal they deserved. Andrew Holsworth's persistence set up a thumping equaliser from Abbott. And Town almost grabbed all 3 points in the closing minutes as both Holsworth and McAliskey shaved the right hand upright. Town won, Brentford won. The following weekend, Town were involved in FA Cup first round action at Stockport. There was to be no repeat of the opening day heroics. By half-time, Rahubka had conceded 3 goals to the side propping up the rest at the bottom of the League One table.
I was slightly disappointed with him at first when he came back, a little bit indifferent at the start, but I think everybody knows what a good keeper Paul is, and certainly the last 10-15 games has been outstanding.
Yet again, Pawel Abbott provided the one bright moment on an otherwise grey afternoon with a fine individual goal that had BBC Match of the Day pundits churlishly commenting about poor defending. A week later, Town were to record only their second clean sheet away from home in a goalless draw at Colchester. Rehubka had plenty to do, and he did it well. Abbott had Town's best chance. Again, it would have been a memorable goal, but he was foiled by ex-Bradford and Grimsby keeper Aidan Davison. Town and Rehubka held firm, and it finished 0-0. The next visitors to the Gal Farm were Wrexham, who were on the brink of administration and a 10-point deduction that would ultimately cost them their League One status, but they took an early lead through Andrew Holt. Town should have been level almost immediately. Fine work set up junior Mendes with what seemed an unmissable opportunity. But he was somehow denied by a fine save from Matt Baker. But it was all square by half-time when Danny Schofield scored from an improbable angle. It was all set up for Town to take control in the second half, but they were undone by the pace of former Spurs striker Chris Armstrong, who went down under David Murphin's challenge. Murphin got a yellow card, and Armstrong got up to slot home the penalty. Town had a late chance to grab a point when Wrexham's Hector Sam was sent off by Paul Danson for stamping on John Worthington just 3 minutes after coming on as a substitute. But frustratingly, it finished Town 1, Wrexham 2. It had been a disappointing month for the Terriers. 4 league games, 2 draws, 2 defeats, not a single win, and it saw them slide down from 8th to 14th in the table. But December was to get off to a brighter start with a trip to Swindon's county ground.
It's a decent ball if it gets through. This is Edwards with a chance for Huddersfield. Slides it through and Abbott has the chance to make it 1-0 for Huddersfield Town. Classic counter-attack goal, and Huddersfield's top scorer is now up to 14 for the season. Very well worked and clinically finished. Ball's gone in deeper than that, but once again it's easy for Rehubka. Swindon's delivery from set pieces has been poor, as has most of the rest of their play. Now Brandon's in here after a mistake by Eiffel, and he capitalises. A sucker punch goal, brilliantly taken.
I would rank that as one of our best away performances of the season. You know, we played a different system, and as I say, we looked completely in control of that game, and we went out with Swindon side who were in good form at that time.
But Town couldn't follow that up with another away win on the short trip over the Pennines to Oldham. All the goals came in the first half. After Will Haining put Oldham ahead after 4 minutes, Pawel Abbott equalised with a rare-headed goal from Anthony Lloyd's cross 3 minutes later. Town thought they'd taken the lead when a Tony Carr shot was deflected off Chris Brandon into the Oldham net, but the linesman ruled that Brandon had been offside. Kevin Betsy, who'd scored for Hartlepool at the Gal Farm earlier in the season, grabbed what proved to be the winner for Oldham 7 minutes before half-time. It was harsh on Town, who dominated the second half and would have returned home with something to show for their efforts, but for goalkeeping heroics by Latics keeper Les Poliakomi. Oldham 2, Town 1.
All you got to think is from start to finish, right? You just got to give it all your effort. Yeah. About. All right. Good. Throw it around the room for me. Throw it around the side.
For the next home game, a long-awaited clash with local rivals Bradford City, Town warmed up with a martial arts session.
It's just something different. I try to do on a Tuesday. I try to do something different. Whether they go in the pool, whether they go in the gym, and Lee Martin suggested we should martial arts experts, so we went up there.
All right. Yep.
It was a really hard day. That if anybody were to set that up, it's really, really hard.
There was a degree of controlled violence.
Yeah, that one worried. The big boys.
17,000 turned up at the Gal Farm on the Saturday before Christmas.
Well, they've been building up to this one for weeks now, and here is Junior Mendes building up an attack, and then Worthington for Huddersfield Town. It's all helter-skelter stuff there. Brandon is released, and Chris Brandon off the inside of the post. So unlucky. Summerby will drop this one in, and there's a header. I think it was Dean Windass, and it flicked off the Huddersfield bar. Windass to curl it. Oh, and the goalkeeper was almost motionless. Both sides have struck the post. Summerby. Taken in by Owen Morrison here. This is Owen Morrison, and the former Sheffield Wednesday man scores for Bradford just before half-time. His first goal for Bradford City. Brandon. He's a former Bradford Park Avenue man. He so much wants to beat Bradford City. He's found Schofield. Here's a big chance for Abbott, and Pawel Abbott. Oh, it was off the inside of the post, and then Junior Mendes somehow put it over the top. There might still be something here for Huddersfield. That's a clever angle ball for Brandon. He's foiled by Henderson.
This was a game where everybody looked forward to all season. Big crowd turns up. We were extremely poor first half, improved second half, but got beat 1-0. Massive disappointment to myself, to the players, and to the supporters who waited all that time to play the big local derby against Bradford. So really disappointing. But that was the last defeat we'd had here at the Gal Farm.
Port Vale were the visitors on Boxing Day. Within 8 minutes, Town were 2 up, threatening a festive goal feast. Danny Schofield scored the first, and Pawel Abbott added the second with a fine solo effort. By the interval, Vale had pulled one back. But Town survived a typically nervous second 45 minutes to take all 3 points, 2-1. 2 days later, Town were forced to make the absurdly long trip to Dorset for the game against Bournemouth.
Still can't see the logistics of the FA sending us down after Boxing Day down to Bournemouth. 4 or 5 hour drive down there. Bradford are playing Torquay. I think, what is wrong in this? It's not right in the players, it's not right for the spectators that travel down there.
What's more, at first it looked as if it might be a fruitless trip, as John Spicer gave Bournemouth an early lead. But John McAliskey responded with his second goal of the season before half-time. Spicer gave the home side the advantage again soon after the break. But David Murphin got a touch to Tony Carr's corner to make sure Town returned from the South Coast with a point from a 2-2 draw. So at the end of the year, Town were exactly halfway in the table, easily holding their own at this stage, but inconsistency was costing them a chance to put greater pressure on those like Bournemouth, who were occupying the playoff places. By now, Hull City had established themselves as the closest rivals to leaders Luton, and they were Town's next opponents at the KC Stadium. Town's first half performance was as impressive as the stadium itself. McAliskey had gone close before Brandon gave the Terriers a deserved 40th minute lead. But 2 minutes later, a clever pass by former Town favourite Delroy Facey, of whom more later, gave Hull's leading scorer Stuart Elliott the chance to restore parity. Disappointingly, in view of the good football Town played on the day, a defensive lapse was to cost them the points. Half-time substitute Aaron Wilbraham given the freedom of Hull to head the winner. Hull 2, Town 1. All in all, it was a frustrating start to the new year. The next game, at home to Bristol City, began brightly. After going ahead through an early own goal, Town completely dominated proceedings. Pawel Abbott added a second just before the hour mark. The Terriers were looking good for their first victory of the new year. But City's live-wire substitute Leroy Lita pulled the goal back on 71 minutes. And that ensured a nail-biting finale. And for the second time in the season, City were to grab an equaliser through an injury-time own goal. This one headed into his own net by Nathan Clark. The frustration mounted when Torquay arrived at the Gal Farm the following weekend.
Everyone back for Torquay apart from Akin Fenwer as the ball's delivered. Oh, it's gone over Getskalsen and they've missed it! They've all missed it, and F.A. Sodja at the back post has capitalised on the error by Getskalsen. F.A. Sodja beating both Lopez and Taylor at the back post. Sodja, the goal scorer, he's got a lot of room there for Andrew Holdsworth to come forward. Holdsworth and McAliskey. McAliskey drifting over and turn the ball into Sodja! Oh, and Akpo Sodja couldn't follow his brother onto the score sheet. It was a terrific ball into the penalty area, and Akpo Sodja's run was totally unseen by the Torquay defence. Cars plays the ball into the near post. McAliskey with a header is in the bar. McAliskey rose above everyone, and yet again a Huddersfield player is there to win the header from the corner. Huddersfield with a time to break here. Schofield's got ahead of Phillips, and well, he's up against Woods now. In fact, he's up against Robinson. So Schofield with a great shot. Here's a chance for Akin Fenwer to go forward. McGlinchey with the cross. Oh, and a mistake by Sodja. The chance for Kevin Hill! And Kevin Hill, the first shot of the game for Torquay United, has ended up in the back of the net. Kevin Hill, totally against the run of play, has scored. The ball's going to come in long from Clark. Yes, he's looking for Brown. Brown flicks it on. It's dangerous. Gets feet to it, and the ball hits the crossbar.
Once again, Torquay, I think Torquay came, he had one shot they had against us, John. So that's 4 points we've just thrown away in 2 home games, where there should have been no doubt about the result.
Next stop, another Yorkshire derby at Oakwell.
Cut back by McPhail. Barnsley have been so inconsistent this season, and here is McPhail with another chance, and there is Chopra, and somehow he found some space inside the 6-yard area, and Barnsley lead. Knocked across in here, and again, oh, it's Chopra a second time, and the Huddersfield defence has got absolutely AWOL. 24 minutes played. Well, Sodji doesn't get to this one, and Huddersfield really do have to cope better than they are doing, and he's away, he's bowling here from Sodji. It's 3-0. What a dream of a half for Paul Hart's men, and this is Michael Boulding. Sodji knocks it up into the other half. Pawel Abbott will take it down in his stride. And this is better from Huddersfield Town, and maybe Luke Beckett here. He's round the goalkeeper, but the penalty surely has got to be given. Turnbull may be going off here. He is. Big chance for Huddersfield to be on the score sheet, and they are, driven in by Abbott. 3-1 now. They have some hope. Huddersfield playing much better in this half. It's a much stronger effort from them all round, and they're in here buzzing around, and Booth is in there. It's Andy Booth, and with 20 minutes to go, Huddersfield are right back in this one. Worthington will nudge it back. Clark will play it wider. Cast forward into the penalty area. Worthington's continued his run, and that's so unlucky. It was Abbott who struck the bar. Well, it's been a hairy, scary second half for Barnsley. They look to finish it here, but Chopra couldn't get through. Oh, and then Rahubka gives him a shoulder charge. The referee's going to give a penalty.
I've seen the video again of that game. I still can't see why the referee gives the penalty. Rabs just got up, bumped into him, gives a penalty, and I still believe that if Thempton scored that penalty, we'd have gone on and won the game. Never mind got a point, we'd have won, because they were on the racks then.
A chance for Chopra to get a hat-trick, and a hat-trick it is for Michael Chopra. The caution, Rahubka couldn't keep it out. Barnsley surely on their way to the points here at 4-2, but Huddersfield still giving it everything. That was Cars, and then it's going to be knocked into Beckett. Oh, what a fantastic save to foil Beckett.
The next home game against Bournemouth followed a familiar pattern. Town took an early lead when Andy Booth was pushed in the box. Pawel Abbott stroked home the penalty. Luke Beckett, signed on loan from Sheffield United, had made his debut at Barnsley, and he doubled the lead with his first goal for the Terriers 10 minutes before half-time. A minute before the break, Bournemouth hit back with a far post header from James Hayter. But there was still enough time before the interval for Beckett to restore Town's 2-goal advantage with a well-placed shot.
I watched Luke maybe 3 or 4 times. He wasn't getting looking at Sheffield United. I just felt we needed someone to come in to help Pawel Abbott and Boothie up front, and Luke came in, and I think everybody knows how successful he was.
Hayter reduced the lead again midway through the second half, but this time Town hung on to win 3-2. The next game, a trip to Walsall's Bescott Stadium, saw Town again take what appeared to be a commanding lead. Andy Booth scored after just 7 minutes. And Beckett was to double the advantage 4 minutes later. Walsall player-manager Paul Merson was clearly unimpressed by that, but in much better heart after he drilled home from outside the box. Just 15 minutes gone, 3 goals, 2-1 to Town. And Paul Rahubka made sure it stayed that way with a fine save from George Letao. 2-1 became 3-1 when Beckett poached his second from close range. Merson's insistence that there'd been an infringement might have earned him a booking, But the former England and Arsenal star had the last laugh as Matty Fryatt turned the game on its head. After that spectacular strike, Fryatt went on to complete a hat-trick, the second from the penalty spot after Efi Soji had inadvertently handled inside the box. The winner came 15 minutes from time, with Town caught on the break after laying siege to the Walsall goal. From 3-1 up, Town had lost 4-3. At the end of a disappointing January, which had seen just one win from 6 games, Town were only 1 point closer to the playoffs than the relegation zone. The season looked like petering out in mid-table mediocrity. The visit of Luton hardly seemed like providing much respite, particularly when the league leaders took a disputed first-half lead through Ahmet Berkovic, who appeared to have been in an offside position. But Town worked hard to get back into the game. Rob Edwards went close before they did to Luton what had been done to them on several occasions earlier in the season. They grabbed an injury-time equaliser. Luke Beckett again showing his poacher's eye for goal. After taking a total of 4 points off the leaders, Town might have expected more than a 2-1 defeat from their trip to struggling MK Dons, especially after Andy Booth had given them the lead. But Isael McLeod equalised for the Dons before half-time, again from a suspiciously offside position. Town thought they'd regained the advantage when Abbott headed into the net, but John McComb was ruled to be interfering with play on the line, even though he made no contact with the ball. And a frustrating afternoon was complete when Clive Platt hit the Dons' winner in injury time. The next game, against Blackpool, was to be the last time Town fans would see Luke Beckett wear Town's colours at the Galfarm. He signed off with his 6th goal in 6 games. The match was also notable for a red card for Chris Brandon, extremely harsh, seeing that he was the victim of the first infringement, as he had his shirt tugged. But Peter Jackson's appeal to the FA to have the dismissal rescinded was to fall on deaf ears.
I'll never appeal again. Now I've had John Worthing sent off last season at FA Cup at Accrington. Various other players, but I'll never send reports in again. It's pointless. They seem to go down there and just, if they can't overturn a decision like Worthington at Accrington or what Chris Brandon did against Blackpool, what's the point of sending them down? Useless.
10-man Town had the chance to make the victory secure when John McAliskey was bundled over in the box. McAliskey himself was given the responsibility from the spot, but he saw his penalty saved. Never mind, Town held on to win 1-0. A midweek trip to high-flying Tranmere followed, and Town were undone at Prenton Park by 2 almost identical free kicks from Jason McAteer. Town almost pulled one back when Abbott's header was cleared off the line, but they were well beaten on the night. And after a 3-0 defeat, there was more disappointment for the fans when it emerged that Luke Beckett had returned to Sheffield United.
We simply couldn't afford it, John. Why look at Rolls Royce when you only can afford a Mini? And that was the case with Luke. It was short term. He came in, did a job for me, went to Sheffield United, and now he was over at Oldham. We simply couldn't afford him.
A struggling Oldham side were Town's next visitors. They showed why they were in trouble near the foot of the table as they gifted Pawel Abbott the chance to open the scoring, a chance he took with typical aplomb. To make up for the disappointment of losing Luke Beckett, Jackson had brought in Delroy Facey on loan from Hull, and the former Town favourite made an instant impact, skinning his marker before laying on an unmissable opportunity for Abbott to slot his second. Typically, Town found themselves under pressure in the second half, but despite a few alarms, including one which almost saw Kevin Betsy score for a third club against the Terriers in the space of 6 months, Oldham came up with only one goal in reply. It was scored by former Rotherham defender Guy Branston. 2 wins, 1 draw and 2 defeats left Town in 13th, pretty much marking time in mid-table. 9 points below the playoffs, 9 points above the relegation zone, and 5 off the magic 50-point mark. By now, 4 more youngsters had been blooded. In the matches against Oldham and against Blackpool, no less than 11 out of the 14 had come through Gerry Murphy's academy at one time or another.
I was absolutely overjoyed, and that moment I looked round and I thought to myself, well, we must be doing something right. And that's how I felt.
John McComb, Michael Collins, former Manchester United junior Adnan Ahmed, and Nathan Clark's younger brother Tom took the average age of the squad to under 22.
Strange, very strange. It only seems like, yesterday we were playing on the street together, kicking lumps out of each other and, all of that. But no, he's done brilliant. He's surprised me, just how well he's done. With having my brother in, he talked, went round, had a chat with all the lads and they're all great with me. They all talked to me all the way through the game, and they're all good to me.
I only wish his mum and dad had had more children. Because them two, I think everybody realise what I think of Nathan Clark. And when I first arrived at the club, I had good reports about this young kid, 15, called Tom Clark. But surely can't be as good as his younger brother. But it could well be.
Obviously, this is the best club to be at, I think, for any young player. I'd rather, if I had kids, I'd rather send them here than send them to United, because obviously opportunity is a lot better and the coaching just as good. Because that's one thing I've been really impressed with, the coaching from the academy staff at Gerry, through John Dunworth and all the coaching staff there. It's been unbelievable.
Oh, it just seems to keep on going and going. Obviously, these lads I've played with in the youth team. It's just great to see. I mean, Adnan had to wait a bit longer than usual, but since he's come in, he's been top class every game. And like I said, Tom Clark's next one to come through, along with Mikey Collins, and they've all stepped up quite easily.
But the pride the fans could justifiably take in having so much homegrown talent in the first-team squad was soon to be tempered by successive away defeats that would leave the club teetering on the brink of a relegation battle. The first was at Bradford, where the Bantams completed a season double over the Terriers. The final score, 2-0. The second was at Chesterfield, where Tom Clark was harshly red-carded for an innocuous challenge in the box.
I didn't think it were, to be fair, but they said I've dragged him back, which I didn't think I did, but I've gone for it anyway.
Chesterfield's Shane Nicholson scored from the spot. and then added an identical second for an infringement not spotted by the cameras. David Murphy pulled one back for Town, but it finished 2-1, and the manager was brutally honest with his players after the game.
I just said, listen lads, a bit disappointed, but I know we can play a lot better. 1 week we're good, 1 week poor. You know, we win, draw, lose one. You know, we're not consistent enough. If we'd have been consistent this season, we were shown against Hull and Luton's, we'd have been right up there. We're inconsistent. We need to get together. We need to work hard. We need to turn it around, because I don't want to be involved the last month of the season with nothing to play for, because I know we're good enough to be involved.
That game also spelled the end of Effie Sodge's Town career, a third red card of the season, the final straw.
His disciplinary record simply wasn't good enough to miss 10 games of a season. That's another 25% of your season gone through suspension, stupidity. He was out of contract at the end of the season. I just felt rather to be unfair to Sodje, because he'd been a great servant to me. If he could get fixed up before transfer deadline, he could leave. Yeovil come in, good club, offered him a good contract, 2-year contract. Really disappointed. He loved the club, he loved playing for it. Extremely disappointed to leave. But I'm sure he will get a rousing reception when he comes back next year with Yeovil.
He had a great rapport with the lads, and you know, everyone, you know, got on with him, and you know, he had a special bond with the gaffer, I think, and yeah, we're surprised, you know, to find out that he'd gone.
He's a one-off, he's Effie Sodje, he's a bit of a character, and that all that seemed to come with Effie.
Town would get back on track against struggling Stockport.
Which released Feeney here, and Warren Feeney with a chance for Stockport County, and the side at the bottom of the league scores first in only the 2nd minute. Huddersfield 0, Stockport 1. Huddersfield trying to hit back straight away with Ahmed's corner, and it's an Andy Booth goal. What an equaliser! Super header from Booth. 4 minutes played, both teams on the scoreboard. Murphy hits it long. It's a terrific ball from Murphy, and Abbott may capitalise on this. It's a clever, clever finish. Pawel Abbott showing why he's one of the top strikers in the league. Stockport haven't always played like a team at the bottom of the league, and Feeney's doing well here, holding off Clark, and down he goes, sent sprawling, and the referee is going to give the penalty. Mr. Olivier says penalty kick, and Stockport. Feeney, it's 2-2, and he's got both their goals now. Well, Stockport applying all the pressure in these closing stages. And it's a knock back in again, and Feeney will angle a little header in here, and Stockport County and Warren Feeney have 3 goals. The long throw, such a good weapon in the armoury for Huddersfield Town. It's Murphy, cleverly done by David Murphy, a defender turned striker. 8 minutes to go, 3-3. Hit long. Can either side find a winning goal? Well, Huddersfield are the ones coming now, and it's Ahmed! And Adnan Ahmed scores his first league goal for Huddersfield Town. What a comeback! 4-3 they lead. Straight up in the air it goes. They're really pressurising Stockport now for all their worth. And Makaliski and Mendes here. It could be another one for Huddersfield. Oh, and it's tickled over the line by Dolan. An own goal. Huddersfield 5, Stockport 3.
The confidence after that game just been unbelievable. I think the following game was the most important. They get Hartlepool away, and I think, you know, luckily we got the win there. From there, it's just, you know, gone strength to strength really.
The 1-0 win came courtesy of an Andy Booth goal. And some fine saves from Paul Rohobka. That took Town past the 50-point mark. They visibly relaxed, disposing of promotion-chasing Sheffield Wednesday in the next game in front of the highest crowd of the season at the Gal Farm. The only goal of the game came early on from the skipper.
We should score more goals with him, but You know, we'd been disappointed in the big local derbies, and there was a big crowd here that day, and we wanted to get a result, desperate for a result. And once again, keep a clean sheet. We beat Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday, I think, arrived here on the back of, I think, only one defeat in 18 games. And we went out that night, and we could have beat Sheffield Wednesday 5-6. You know, we were so dominant in that game. Never felt as though we were going to throw it away as I'd done in previous games. And the boys were getting confidence in themselves.
Unbelievable. It's it was a great atmosphere, a big night match, and obviously absolutely delighted to score the winner in that game.
Town's cause was helped by the dismissal of Wednesday's much barrack defender Alex Bruce, the son of former Town manager Steve, for that two-footed lunge on Adnan Ahmed.
Yeah, very justified, yeah. And turning point of the game probably, but he deserved to go. I've had numerous players sent off, and if he deserved to go, I admit it, but he did deserve to go.
A 1-0 win was one of the most satisfying results of the season for Town fans. It left the Terriers still with a very faint chance of making the playoffs, but everyone knew they'd probably have to win all their remaining 6 games to make up the 6-point deficit. They began their unlikely quest with a 2-1 win at Peterborough, where Chris Brandon opened the scoring. Peterborough equalised before half-time, but Danny Schofield was to nick all 3 points with the winner 6 minutes from time. The final Yorkshire derby of the season was at home against Doncaster Rovers.
One of Huddersfield's poorest performances this season was at Doncaster. They're trying to atone for that here. Oh, they may well have done. In the very first minute, Pawel Abbott. What a start for Huddersfield. Abbott yet again on the mark. Foster. And the flick on is a good one. And you can see Fortune West arguing possession here with Clark, and Fortune West, quite a handful, gets the shot away. Oh, that's a good striker's goal. A bruising encounter. Andy Booth working tirelessly for the Huddersfield cause there, as he always has done. Now it's Danny Schofield. Adams, he'll look up and see who's in there, and it's Booth who is there, and Andy Booth scores, and it's his 109th goal for the club, taking him beyond Les Massey now. He's the 4th top scorer in Huddersfield history.
That was a nice one, that, because I knew our level with Les Massey. It was just nice to get another goal to go one above him and be the 4th in the scoring chart.
What can I say about Andy Booth? I think it's all been said about him. Cannot expect any more than you get from Andy Booth. I know when he goes out on the field, he'll give everything for me, for the club, and for himself. So I can rely on Booth game in, game out, as the perfect professional.
It's nice to be up there, and it'd be nice to show my kids and my grandkids where I feature in the club's history.
Huddersfield really taking the fight to Doncaster Rovers here now, as they seek to avenge that defeat earlier in the campaign. And it's going to be knocked into the danger area here. There might be a chance for Brandon, and he takes that chance. Crisp volley, Chris Brandon scores. Huddersfield 3, Doncaster 1.
5 straight wins had got some optimistic fans thinking that the playoffs were not such an impossible dream after all. They were brought up short by the visited draw specialist Colchester United, who took an early lead at the Galfine. Town equalised thanks to some quick thinking from Pawel Abbott, whose quickly taken free kick caught out the used defence and keeper. Terriers took the lead on the hour mark with a smartly taken goal by Danny Schofield. 3 more points seemed to be in the bag when in the dying seconds Paul Rahubka made a rare but fatal misjudgment.
I mean, I was disappointed with the Colchester game. We got beat. Well, it felt like we got beat, and we ended up drawing 2-2. But even then, we could have won 3-2 after I came for a corner I shouldn't have done. And that would have been like nice because we'd be 8 straight wins, and you never know what's going to happen from there. So that was disappointing. But I feel like I've been consistent throughout the season. I hope that passes on to my defence and they can build off that.
Rahubka made amends at Brentford's Griffin Park, where Pawel Abbott was to score the only goal of the game in the 26th minute. It was one of his best. But it was largely down to Rahubka that Town kept a clean sheet that afternoon. The final home game of the season was against Swindon Town.
Well, who would have believed that Huddersfield could have been in with a shout of getting into the playoffs? There's a bit of bother here, and Duke, who's already been booked, is going off. David Duke sent off by referee Evans. So the 10-man Swindon here. And there's Fallon. Oh, his boot is ridiculously high. And Rory Fallon may be the second player to go off. Murphy's head caught it, and Fallon can have no argument about that. Swindon down to 9 men. Slip through here for Abbott, and Pawel Abbott has scored for Huddersfield. We've gone past the hour mark. It's taken a long time in coming, but that was emphatic. Adams stabbing the ball forward for Brandon. Make it into the Swindon penalty area here. He does do. Brandon taking his time and checking, looking for someone, and that someone is Andy Booth. Who else? And Huddersfield are surely going to seal the win now. Mendes looking for a goal. He hasn't had many this season. Oh, he's just, I think, kept that ball in play. Holdsworth, he'll loop it across here. The Swindon defence all over the place, and there is a third goal for Abbott. And Huddersfield now are on their way to the points, no mistake about it. Hello, hello, hello. You can't do that. Well, this is a significant moment. Adams is coming off, but that's to allow Rob Edwards to come on, perhaps for his last appearance for Huddersfield Town, certainly his last here at the Gulf Arms Stadium. Wonderful servant for the club. It's played in here for Rob Edwards, and Rob Edwards, of all people, what a way to cap the season. Rob Edwards, there could be no more popular goal scorer anywhere today.
It was breathtaking, the great the gaffer put me on, come on with 10 minutes to go, and it's when 13,000 people are singing your name, it brings a lump to your throat. I just thank them all the best. The supporters have been brilliant to me in both my spells, and all the staff, everyone connected with the club, the academy staff, even Gene in the tea room, everyone mixes in. It's a great place to be, and to score as well, I couldn't have wrote a better script.
I think they were groaning in tears in the stand. It was fantastic. The reception that Robbie got, the goal that he scored, it couldn't really go. That was just a fantastic day, finished off by a fantastic footballer, a fantastic person, and a great servant of this club.
What have been the highlights for you in your 2 spells?
Both the spells. First spell, my first season here, I signed as a winger. Brian Norton signed me, and I managed to score 7 goals in 13 games. One what sticks out, probably the Man City game when we played them at Main Road. That was a great escape season, which was a great feat as well, which I fully enjoyed. Rounding off a 15-man move, I think it was, and a volley went into the bottom corner. and obviously the playoff goal last season, which took us to the Millennium Stadium.
When I came back as manager 18 months ago, Robbie was my first signing, and from that day to this, he's never ever let me down. On and off the field, he's been an example to everybody.
So with one game left, Town, after 7 wins and a draw in 8 games, were now just 2 points off the playoffs. Alas, they were to miss out when Brentford's late equaliser at Wrexham the following midweek ensured them a top 6 place.
Did deflate everybody. Extremely disappointed, because the players deserved to go into that Wrexham game, the last game of the season, knowing that if we won all the results we went, the dream was back on. So bitterly disappointed, but cannot take anything away from the players. They couldn't have done or worked any harder than they've asked, and it's been an excellent season.
And it was finished in style. David Murphin's goal, the only one of the game, and enough to wrap up Town's best finish to a season, 8 wins and a draw since the 1920s. So in the end, so near yet so far, a single point off the playoffs, but hopes are high for next season.
I think our odds next year will be slashed right down. I think we'll be one of the favourites to go up, but that obviously brings pressure on myself, brings pressure on the players to produce next year. And I feel if we can play like we can do, we can be a force to be reckoned with.
The way the results have gone as well, the last 10 or so games, it's a bit mouthwatering for next year. I think we can really push, and these young guys have come in and they've equipped themselves really well.
Next year, the year after, we've got so many young lads coming through, and they're going to be another year, 2 years older, and there's no reason why we can't go up and be a good strong team to come.
It's refreshing change, to see the young lads come through and have such confidence.
Yeah, it's very encouraging. The last couple of months have been very encouraging and shown that we are capable of putting a consistent level of performance.
I fancy if they stick together, they can go a lot further. I do. I believe that. They've got the ability to do it.
If you can find me a better set of young players than that, I don't think I can find them.
You look at 3 centre-backs in Tom Clark, Nathan Clark and David Murphy. There's not many better than them. And, you look at Adnan Ahmed, you look at John Worthington, look at Andy Oldsworth, look at Anthony Lloyd, look at John McAleskey. They're not bad, are they?
The future's never looked better for this football club. Never.